Good morning. This is the Caron B Davis of Caron B Realty International, and welcome. We have Alex back, Alex Peach from Colliers Commercial Real Estate Brokerage. Welcome. And this morning we're going to talk about the office space, what's going on with office space. And I know Alex has a very extensive report each quarter, and if you'd like a copy of that after today's talk, we'll certainly send it to you. But Alex, tell us what's going on in the office space world.
Yeah, thanks, Gron. Thanks for having me back. Always good to do these with you. Here locally, we're seeing some interesting changes. I think we're finally seeing the market start to stabilize after COVID. For the most part, most tenants have had their leases roll at one point and they've come up for renewal. They've kind of made their decisions on what their footprint is going to look like. So this last quarter, our island-wide vacancy rate is sitting at 13.5%. And, when you compare that to some of the major metros on the mainland, we continue to do much better. I just saw like the national statistics from Colliers, and I think the average vacancy across the US is 17.5%.
Okay.
So yeah, things are starting to look better. If you're an owner, if you're a tenant, you probably still wish, if we were in the middle of COVID and you were getting, insane deals on your rent, but we're starting to get a little bit closer to kind of the equilibrium of like a 10% vacancy rate is right there. Below that, it's kind of referred to as a landlord's market. Things are tighter,
Okay.
not as much space available. And above that, we're still in a tenant's market. But landlords are a little more bullish, and I've noticed, not as accommodating to tenants going, right now. They're not just, giving the space away to get anybody in the building as much. Some are standing a little firmer on their rents, not giving as much of an improvement allowance, things like that.
Are people generally getting less space and working, some of their employees working from home more now? Or what, in terms of people, what kind of spaces are they leasing out right now with office space?
It really varies. I think that I'm not seeing a lot of people going fully remote, unless you're a sole proprietor, just yourself, and you're like, all right, I just don't even need the office. I'll just work out of a co-working space. I'm not seeing as many, anecdotally, like I'm not seeing as many tenants just go, okay, I'm giving it up to go remote. We are seeing some people downsize because they are doing, continuing the hybrid work. Maybe people are in a few days a week, but not every day. But most of what I'm seeing is either people back in the office or hybrid work, but they need almost as much space because they still want desk space for everybody, and they will have days when they have everybody in the office at once. And it just depends. I'm working with some tenants on expansions across different properties. I'm thinking of one that's contracting, but people are still actually growing out there, even after, COVID. Everybody thought office space was just going to be completely dead, but people are continuing to actually expand footprints as well.
And, of course, we always ask, well, what's going on with the downtown market right now?
Yeah, downtown, we're sitting at they're, a little bit higher than the island wide. It's about 13.75% vacant. And I think landlords there are still feeling strong because of it's really being buoyed by all the conversions. We had, 1132 Bishop, I think I've talked about that, it converted to residential rentals. Davies Pacific Center sold and is being converted into primarily fee simple residential condos. Some of it is actually commercial condos, and they're keeping a few floors that they're leasing. And there's another building, Topa Financial Center, is on the market. There's rumors that one tower, the current buyer that's looking at it may convert a tower, and that would completely change things. But downtown is still remaining, fairly strong. The one thing to look out for across the island is the continued rise of operating expenses, or your CAM. We were seeing that go up because of electricity costs, minimum wage increases, somewhat insurance, but I'm really seeing this year the insurance cost be the major thing. I've heard of some landlords having 300% increases in their premiums, which is something you guys are dealing with on the residential side, condo associations as well. And not every landlord updates their CAM on a calendar year basis. So some may not be seeing their CAM increase until the middle of the year because they're doing it on a fiscal year basis. Some do it at different times. But I think by the beginning of 2025, we're going to continue to see CAMs go up, and some landlords that update their CAM on a calendar year, like January 1st, may not have actually seen their insurance increase until later in the year and may not have budgeted for that. So some tenants out there may be seeing large CAM reconciliations at the end of the year saying, hey, we thought CAM was going to say $1.80 and a square foot per month, and actually it was $1.95 a square foot a month, and we undercharged you, and here's the bill of what you owe us, when they true it up at the end of the year. So that's really kind of eating into the savings tenants are seeing, because people are actually paying more gross per square foot now than they were pre-COVID.
Yeah, just, everyone's been mentioning, they're definitely feeling the inflation, and, this is probably, they raise the interest rates, of course, to balance out the economy. And it's definitely slowing down in ways that, because of these, costs, electricity, which they still anticipate to go up, and insurance costs. They're the two magic things. Well, I shouldn't say they're magic. They're the costs are going up very high, even in residential real estate and residential condominiums. It's a huge issue right now.
Yeah, it definitely is. We're dealing with that actually at my condo association right now, and it was not fun. But yeah, that's the last piece I was just touching on, the gross rents. That's the one thing that I think most people are surprised at. Everybody thinks like, oh, I should be getting a better deal now, COVID, office, everything you hear in the news. But especially here locally, I can't speak to the mainland. I'm sure in San Francisco, tenants probably are getting a better deal now than they were in 2019, even with all these costs rising. But here locally, our operating expenses are going up so much, and landlords aren't feeling the need to continue to drop their rents. In fact, the asking base rent has pretty much remained flat, while landlords, depending on the market, are doing deals slightly below that because construction costs are high. They're having to put more money into the deal. They can't really justify doing less than that.
Yeah, and I should ask you also, what are the hot areas right now that you're finding people want to, rent office space, would you say?
Kahala always remains very, very popular. There's, we don't, at Colliers, we track East Oahu as one of our submarkets. So that is going to go Kaimuki through Hawaii Kai. So we don't track Kahala specifically, but there's, last check, 0 office space available in Kahala right now. And then Kaimuki always remains popular as well. If you look at our market report, East Oahu currently is showing a vacancy rate of 10%, but that's a little bit inflated because of the Goodwill building that was just constructed. And that, put about 25,000 square feet of brand new office space on the market. The owner's occupying about a floor and a half there, but there's a full floor and about a third of a floor to lease right now at that property. And that, it's East Oahu is a pretty small market. So adding that 20 some odd thousand square feet just increased the vacancy rate. So I don't think it actually is a real reflection. That 10% isn't a reflection of how popular East Oahu is right now.
No, very much so. Well, thank you. And one of the things you just expressed was, being able to read the, CAM, how much CAM's going to be, and everyone should work with a consultant when they any kind of real estate, because there's questions you can ask that will allow the consumer to make a better judgment whether that space is good for them or not, or what the total cost could look like. And I'm sure there's a few people who, if they haven't used a professional like yourself, they're getting caught off guard, with that. And and I'll put a little point in here right now, is when I found my new space, I immediately called Alex. I didn't have to use Alex. I'm a residential realtor, but I know he knows the questions that I don't know. It was a very successful transaction. But Alex, thanks again. And you're going on vacation tomorrow, so have a wonderful holiday. And before you go, let's share Marianne's photos like we like to do every morning, Friday mornings. And here we go. And of course, the theme today is color and all the colorful situations you can get with photography. So this was a burst of color filling the sky there below, the pink haze. It's absolutely gorgeous there. And then, of course, Rocky and her new pup were born June 20th. Marianne's a huge supporter of taking care of the monk seals here in Hawaii. And then the gecko. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing a gold green gecko at the this one was at the Foster Botanical Gardens, and of course all the beautiful flowers, and she took this in a very unexpected place, she said, and these pretty pink flowers of Alanda shrubs are at the Honolulu airport. These are at the airport. So that makes the airport a lot brighter than it is.
Yeah, seriously.
So Alex, when you go to the airport tomorrow, what a photo. I want to see if you can spot these.
I'll have to look out for those. Yeah.
Anyway, much mahalo for coming today. Really appreciate it. We'll also please, email, text us if we can send the full report. There's a lot of statistics Alex gives out, as I mentioned, and have a great weekend. And until next week, much mahalo.
Thanks, Grant.
Yeah, that was good. So